All right, guys, welcome to Kind of Creepy. I'm Jason Emmett,
And I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
and this is 1 year. This is what
Yeah.
1 year old looks like.
Season finale. And
Yeah, it's
also
kind of
season
crazy.
premiere, technically.
It's a little crazy to think about. We've been doing this show for a year now, which means we haven't been doing our old show for a year, which is really
It
weird.
is weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually did a podcast for like many years that was all about music, and we would talk about the history of music and stuff, but there were reasons we stopped that. And
Yeah.
in that we were already talking about doing a paranormal type show because we're into that stuff. And if you guys have been here since the early days, you'll remember how rough things were for a long time. And there's been a lot of changes, but
Yeah. They pop up every once in a while, but it's not nearly as bad as it was at one point.
no, no.
I've
Well,
watched some YouTube tutorials on how to fix
we
things.
usually we usually fix them before show, but
Yeah.
so we thought it'd be really interesting to do some personal stories this since it is our 1 year. And I thought before we kind of go into them, we got some really cool stuff planned. Matt actually, which you'll see a little clip at the end of this, sat down with some of his family members and they tell some of their stories. And I'm actually preparing to sit down with my sister to tell some of her stories. But we would love to hear some of your stories too. We kind of tell you guys this all the time, but if you have write it up, send it in, or record it if you want, even audio or video, just send it to us. But if you'd like to send it in, I will gladly read it. We'll read it on the show and discuss
Yeah.
it. But we thought since it was our 1 year, we'd kind of go over some personal stories, things we experienced. And like the first thing I kind of want to talk about is like I've met people in life that say they've experienced like, but every other week I saw a ghost, that kind of stuff. And then I've met people that have literally said they've never experienced anything. And then you get people like me who I've experienced. I would say I've had 3 experiences in life that were hard to explain, that were ghost like or paranormal. And then one that happened because I went ghost hunting. So that to me is different than ones that just sort of naturally happen.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes, like, if, yes, are certain people more susceptible? And these people who claim they've never experienced anything, are they just writing
Like shut
it
off to it?
Have you read it?
Part of it.
So the movies do this, but I want to.
I've definitely seen the films. So
in the Losers Club, Stan. In the book, Stan is the skeptic. He refuses to believe anything. And even when some of the stuff is presented to him, he just denies it until something finally happens. He can't, which they have not done in either movie. So I just want to be, and it's to me one of the scariest scenes in the book, but they've never done it in the movies, which is weird to me. They've done something. In the first movie, it was a mummy. In the second movie, it was the picture that tried to bite his face. But none of that is what happens in the book itself. And it's terrifying. And I think that there are skeptics out there who just, even when presented with, and it's fair, it's okay, that they're like, there has to be a logical explanation.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is, and sometimes there isn't. What I'm saying is we both experienced a few things, I think, in life. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what today is about. We're going to kind of tell one of those stories, I think, is where we're kind of going to go. Yeah. And for me, I'm going to tell the first paranormal experience I ever had. And it's weird because it's not like what I experienced was this full-fledged, all many nights, all kinds of crazy stuff happened. No, I only ever saw one thing. And but there are other little things I will talk about in that story. I don't really know what story Matt's got to share with us.
I think I've kind of alluded to it previously, but yeah, we'll get to it.
So I guess we'll start with me. We'll start with me telling my story. I was not very old. I was probably about 8, 9 years old. We had moved into this house in a suburb, man, Dayton, Ohio. It wasn't like some crazy house. So I want to explain this picture. This is a house that looks almost exactly like it, same neighborhood, even on the same street. So all the layouts, so you can see it's just a normal ranch style home. This is not the actual house. I could only find one street view of the actual house, and I was telling Matt it was a Google Street View, and there was a fat dude with no shirt on drinking like what looked like a beer standing on the front porch. And I was like, we're not going to put that up. But it's very apropos.
But it's Dayton, Ohio, so of course there was.
It is Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, we moved to a house in Dayton, Ohio, which is a couple hours away from Cincinnati, north of Cincinnati, for those who don't know. And basically, though, as you look at this house right here, this will help. I have stuff to show you the layout of the house. The far right window would have been the back bedroom, and that would have been mine. And I'm going to explain the layout, and then we're going to we'll show you the layout. So you go in the front door and be instantly in the living room. There's a hall to your right. Down the hall on the left-hand side is a bathroom. Right-hand side is one bedroom. Back of the hall is another bedroom, and to the left is another bedroom. Small kitchen right across from the living room. Yeah, here you go. So you see the living room, the kitchen. This is an important layout. It is important. That's why I'm giving you this layout. You see what was my sister's bedroom. My bedroom was in the back. My parents across from it. There were two bathrooms, and they had like a walkway. You could go from my parents' room through both doors into the kitchen, which was kind of weird.
That is very strange, actually.
All ranch. Yeah, and a lot of them in the area don't have that second door, so it's weird that you could do that in ours. A lot of them, it was just a master bath. And a lot of them now are open floor plans because I was going on like online and seeing the ones up for sale and going through and looking at them. And if you see the living room wall there that goes into the kitchen, a lot of them have been taken down now, so it's just almost like a great room. But ours had a single white saloon door. I think it was white. Just one though, like a swinging door into the kitchen. So let me kind of explain some stuff about this house before I get into the story. Well, not the house itself. We had lived in a very small town, dirt roads, Amish people, all of that. We lived in an area called Coshocton, Ohio. Some of you know it. But my dad had worked there in a paper mill. Paper mill shut down. He got a job at the local hospital, and he and some of my cousins decided they were going to start their own landscaping business in Dayton. So we moved to Dayton. And we moved in this house, and I wasn't very old. Like I said, probably 8, 9 years old. We lived in it for a couple of years, and it was just a normal looking house. Pretty early on, and if you don't really know paranormal stuff, like I was young, I didn't know paranormal stuff. There were probably some weird signs of things. Just small things like, hey, this thing would come up missing. Like, hey, has anybody seen my, name, my book? Can't find it. And I swear I set it on the table, and then you'd find it like a day later in a weird spot, like little things like that, but nothing so out of the ordinary that was just like mind blowing, right? We didn't hear noises. Cabinet doors weren't opening, nothing like that. But I started having nightmares in this house. And they were kid nightmares. I would have these really bad dreams about these 3 witches that would break into our house, and they would torment us, and we would finally run out of the house. We would lock them inside and catch the house on fire, and they would like die burning and screaming. Now I'm a kid, and I'm having these are very graphic dreams that I'm having.
Pretty vivid.
Don't sound that, yeah. So that was a recurring nightmare I had in this house, but that was it.
Jay was actually able to film his dream too for this.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
and this is just a little, just for fun image we put together here. So, in all fairness, the witches they weren't like traditional like broom riding witches. They were really creepy looking in my dream, like kind of decrepit, like.
It's like they weren't like hot witches.
They were like zombie-esque almost, like just decrepit, like falling skin, falling
like old crone kind of situation.
And again, it's a small little ranch. This isn't and we were right in the middle of a suburb. It wasn't like crazy, insane, like some gothic house. I don't know how old these houses are. They're just little brick houses, and they're a dime a dozen in the area. You've probably seen similar layouts 100 times. All right, so the way things worked is my bedroom was in the back of the house. And as you kind of saw on the schematic where my bed sat, and listen, guys, this is a layout, and I added this the beds and stuff to try to explain the way the room was. But you can kind of see my bed set with the foot of the bed facing the door. My parents, I would go to bed at, I think 9 o'clock was probably my bedtime or something in that range. And my parents would sit in the living room and watch TV. And I had a habit of flipping around so that I could lay with my head at the foot of the bed so I could kind of see down the hall and could hear the television set. And I would fall asleep that way all the time. It's just real common. So one night I'm asleep, I'm watching, listening to the TV. I fall asleep at some point. My parents go to bed. Cool. Whole house dark. Everybody's in bed. I wake up. I looking down the hall, and I see a figure. So what you're seeing here is the hall. Like that would be my bedroom in the back, right there. This would be like one of the layouts of the living room. And as I'm staring down the hall, I see a figure, white, all white, kind of. I say glowing because it's the best I can really explain it. But a white shape of a human person walk across the hall and into the kitchen, just clear as day, like I saw it. And it was one of those things that just sticks in your mind, like I saw this figure walk like maybe 2 steps, right across the hall. And it just freaked me out as a kid, and it was the only thing I ever saw in this house. I never saw anything else. Again, besides things being moved here and there and bad dreams, nothing. I never experienced anything else in this house. So if you go kind of to the next picture, I think we have a couple of different layouts of the living rooms. You can kind of see these are, again, same layouts, different houses. So this one, though, that would be the back bedroom. You can kind of see how it's laid out, and then you could see where my bed would sit, and that would be my parents' room across from it. And then we got one more. This would be the view from down the hall. So to the left was my sister's room. You can't see the parents' room, and because it's to the right.
So this would be your perspective looking down the hall from your bedroom. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. And that would be the bathroom you see there on your right. That's like a storage closet, I think, down there. So yes, so you can see what I saw walked right across that opening. And I didn't hear the swinging doors or anything weird like that. It's a ghost. Maybe it doesn't have to push open a door. But I saw it, and it always stuck with me. And we ended up moving out of this house, moving into a different house. We moved to a different area of called Kettering, and which is still in the Dayton area. And years go by, and I don't really think much about it. I mean, I kind of remember the dreams. I always remembered what I saw. But years and years go by, and I reached teenage years, and talking to my mom one day, and we were, I don't know, somehow talking about spooky, weird shit like we would do sometimes. And I brought this house up, and I said, you remember the house we lived in on Powell Road? And she said, oh yeah. And I said, man, I used to have the worst nightmares in that house. Like when I was a kid, like I had just horror, and I'm not known for having nightmares. This isn't something. I had these really bad nightmares, and I explained them to her, and I said, and I saw something in the house once, and I told her what I saw, and my mom goes like ghostly pale, just white. And I'm like, oh God, what are you about to drop on me? And she looks at me and she said, I used to have these just horrific dreams in that house. My mom's told me this. She was like, where your father, my dad, she's like, would come into the room and stand at the foot of the bed, and he would like reach up and grab his skin and pull it off, and he was a different man. It wasn't him, it was another man who I didn't know, would stand there and stare at me. She was like, and I always just felt like there was someone in that house watching me all the time. And when you experience that and you don't tell anybody, and then years like it just churns your skin, man. It's like,
yeah,
we never knew, because I was a kid. She's not going to tell me about these dreams, and I didn't tell her about mine till much later. And so when that happens, you're just sort of like,
You get that confirmation of, okay, maybe I wasn't crazy.
yeah. So the question comes, I know what I saw, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things. We watch a lot of videos on this channel, and we don't know what people are showing or if they're being legit or whatever. But I know what I saw with my own eyes, and I know you're never going to be like, oh, maybe it was a car light. No, it was very clear what I saw. I know what it was, and we're going to talk about some stuff in a minute. And like I said, Matt has some video. We have a show we're gonna have here in a couple of weeks that is not. I'm not in it at all. It's
Yep.
Matt and his family, and then we're gonna do one that's me and my family, and these are people you trust.
Yeah.
So it's different when you get a story from someone that you like absolutely trust, or you see yourself. And you guys could be out there watching this, going, "Oh, he's full of shit," whatever.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I know because I was there. Look, I
Yeah.
can tell you some weird shit. Not paranormal. we we moved to Colorado a few years. Actually, my parents got divorced a few years down the road, and my mother and I moved to Colorado, and then we moved in this apartment in the friggin' like right by Denver. I wasn't out in the middle of the boonies, man. I was in the city. I was laying very similar. I was laying in bed one night, but I was kind of my bed then set by a window. We were in an apartment. I was on like the third floor. I would just stare out the window sometimes at night. Dude, I tell this story. I get made fun of all the time. I saw. I mean, I don't know what else to describe it as, but what looked like a pterodactyl, fucking flying across the sky. But it wasn't like it was just soaring, like slowly pushing its wings, and I was like, I saw it, and people made fun of me for years. And a guy I talked to once was like, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just a weird story. I was like, I get that,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you know this. Large bird sightings are very common in Colorado.
There are Thunderbirds.
And I don't know what I saw. Like all I can describe it is like kind of a pterodactyl looking thing. I don't only it had a tail. It had a long tail.
There's we'll say a cryptid sighting of a pterodactyl, like an actual pterodactyl.
And look,
and we'll cover
giant,
that. We have to cover that one now.
This was a giant. It
Yeah.
could have been, for all I know, it could have been a giant freaking eagle that just in the way that it looked at night was weird. What I'm saying is, you tell the stories, and some people believe you, and some people make fun of you, and it's okay, because it's never been something that bothered me.
Yeah.
I'm sure of what I saw, and that's okay. But this was my first paranormal thing, and probably the one that creeps me out the most. I actually have, when I get my sister on, I have a much more in depth, longer, we'll say, haunting. The place I lived, that things were continuous, and what makes that one interesting. And I don't speak to these people anymore, unfortunately. But it was when I was in high school, and I wasn't the only one who experienced it. And that's what's people that did not live in the house experience things, and I'll tell all those stories. But it's, to me, not as it didn't stick with me or bother me as bad as this one as a kid, because this one felt, even though nothing ever happened in the house, it felt very malevolent, like something didn't feel right. When you the feelings that you have were always there. So that was my first experience. That was sort of the thing that made me start going, oh my god, are ghosts real? And if I can find it, we will put a video up here. And what this is, and I had it, so I'll keep looking for it. But what this is right here is a video of somebody else. It's not me. But what you're seeing in this video is almost exactly what I saw. Like, this looks a lot like what I saw. And so that kind of gives confirmation too. And honestly, some of those, we did the Gettysburg video a couple weeks ago, and the ghosts you see in that look like the one that walks up to the cannon, similar to what I saw. It was a full body like it was a dude. You could tell it was a dude. Like, it was weird. No features, but you could see. So anyway, there you go. So yeah, that was kind of one of my first experiences. You'll probably cut that. So.
I kind of want to leave the in there.
Of course you do.
That was good. Yeah.
So that was my first experience that I remember as a kid. Like, if anything ever happened before that, I will tell you, just because we like doing Bigfoot stuff on this show, and when I said we lived out in the country before we moved, I mean like our nearest neighbor was 2 miles up the dirt road. We were nowhere near people. We had woods all around us, and when we moved, we were starting to see it was actually, and this is Ohio, but it was not uncommon for occasional sightings. Somebody said they saw a bear. Like that's how country it was out there, and we lived in this little house out there, and I had this little tiny bedroom that I barely remember. My sister had this massively large bedroom, and we ended up putting a twin bed in there across the room for me because I wouldn't sleep in my bedroom because I was terrified of it. And I know why I was terrified of it. I remember the dreams I had there weren't ghosts. I had dreams that a giant hairy man creature would break through the window and drag me out into the woods at night.
It was
me.
Yes. He just saw his future.
And, I remember talking to, and I was real little, but I remember this family we knew had 2 kids, and they would say like that we were over at their house one night, and they were like, my dad keeps a gun because there's a big hairy creature thing outside. And I've always wondered, like, maybe I saw Bigfoot. We lived on 100 acres. That'll tell you.
It was Winnie the Pooh.
Like, what if I saw a Bigfoot when I was a kid? Like, it didn't click, and like I don't remember that, but it went in my dreams. Like, but I don't know. That's just so that was the first weird thing. But I mean, the first actual paranormal experience I had, that was it. So it kind of got me interested because like it's one thing I saw it. So what did I see? And I know it was there, and it wasn't on a video, and it wasn't I wasn't watching it after the fact. I witnessed it up front. So what was it? And that kind of spurs you on. And that's a lot of babbling, but you see where we're going.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, what does Matt have to share for us? Is this your first experience, or is this something else you're going to be sharing with us?
I would say this is my first like conscious experience that I could like tell you everything about it. And right. I do actually tell you all about it. I don't really remember too many things happening before this instance, which I have an actual clip, and it's going to be a clip from a longer video that I'll be putting out later on, where I'm going to be honest. I sat down with my mom and my brother a few days ago to film this, and I thought we were going to talk for maybe 10, 15 minutes and be done. But once the floodgates opened,
I don't know you. I know you.
I'm the loud one, but as you'll see in this clip, I don't do a ton of talking.
I laughed at Matt earlier because he's like, "I'm not going to tell you the story," and I started laughing. He's like, I say I'm not going to tell you."
Proceeds to tell you the whole thing. Yeah,
but actually, that's not what I was laughing. It's sort of what I wanted to say is, no, it's not. I'm not going to tell you. Then proceeds to tell me. I'm not going to tell you the story, and then proceeds to tell a different story, which is very very
that happens a lot. Yeah,
so it's like, I'm not surprised that you ended up getting way more footage, and I'm kind of glad about it. I don't know anything in that video, so I'm kind of
there's honestly stuff in this video that I forgot about, like completely forgot about, including in the story I'm about to tell. Like, I wish I remembered that because I would have gotten my sister involved in the call too, and that like it literally gave me chills when my mom brought it up. But this is the story. I think I've mentioned it in the past.
I want to say something about what you're about to tell, though. One of the things that makes it so interesting is that it's a lot harder to just... Matt's about to, his story involves several people, and I have one that we'll tell down the road that involves several people. And it's one thing when it happens to you, but when you have people who corroborating,
going, I was there, I saw it, yeah,
now, it's so much harder. You can't just blow certain things off.
And what's funny is, like, I've kind of heard Jay talk about his story a little bit. There's a bunch of parallels in his story and my story.
Really? Yeah. Interesting.
Hallways, for one. Seeing down the hallway while TVs are on, things like that. And including, trying to figure out what it was. So, having said that, this is the story, and I'll kind of give a brief rundown and then play the clip. This is the story of what my family has affectionately called Swamp Thing on Vacation since I was a child. Have I ever told you about that phrase specifically?
You have brought it up before to me, yes.
Okay. So now this full story will be in the full video. But I kind of came to the determination very recently, like within a week ago, of why I described it as Swamp Thing on vacation. And what I think it was me as what we've determined was about 9 or 10-year-old kid. This took place back in like 1991, I think is what it was. And it was me as a child trying to rationalize what I saw. And I think I may have come to a more recent determination as an adult of what my child brain was interpreting it as. And I'll just kind of leave it there.
All right, guys, before we go into Matt's story, can you do us a favor? Hit that like button, because it just helps amp us up the YouTube algorithms that none of us understand. What we really want, though, is for you to leave a comment below. Do you like the stories? Do you have a story? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that share button, because that helps a whole bunch. And the most important thing, because we love you guys so very much, hit subscribe. Hit subscribe before you go. We really appreciate it. And you know where you can find that subscribe button, Matt?
Down there.
All right, let's get back to the show.
So I had I'll just say, honor and privilege of getting my own mother and brother on a video call to discuss what I originally set out to record of about maybe 10-15 minutes, and then it ended up just snowballing, and we just kept talking about different experiences that we've all had in and around various houses that we lived in. And I learned some stuff that I was not around for, but then I was kind of reminded, like, no, you actually came back because I helped my parents move at one point in time.
That's what gets you. When you leave and you don't even know that somebody has a story. That's what with my mom, and they tell you later, and you're like, oh God, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And I mean, there's people who are no longer involved in those houses who experience things. There's, it was just bizarre, like some of the things that they told, and those will be coming out in the follow-up for this, the personal stories from my family. So it was kind of cool, and I just want to say, thanks for coming on the show. And
thank you guys. That was awesome.
It was fun. Like and you've seen by now, you've seen the little teaser trailer for that episode. It was a fun one. Just you'll see where a lot of my personality comes from. So, but having said that,
don't blame that on your mom and brother. they didn't do that.
No, I get some of it from my mom, but I definitely pass some of it off to my brother as well. So, but so this is a short little clip from the next video.
I haven't seen this.
He hasn't seen this. He's seen this all first time, but
I've seen the same teaser that if you guys are on our like Instagram and stuff that you guys have seen. I haven't seen anything else.
So this is basically my mom, brother, and I talking about Swamp Thing on vacation. And like I said, I wish my sister was involved, but
Such a good title.
Had we mentioned to her, she probably would have come on. So
like you need a t-shirt, Swamp Thing on vacation.
Oh, I kind of
it's the name of your memoir.
Yeah, Swamp Thing on vacation. Paranormal stories from Twisted Kid Matt.
So good.
This story takes place back in the very early 90s. I believe it was like 1991. We were living in a house in Kansas City. I won't go into like location of this house, but it is an area.
Unlike me, told you
you told the whole street and everything.
It's a long road.
Yeah. So
I don't care. Screw you, Dayton.
So we kind of get into it a little bit more in the full video. There was something that I had to confirm with my mom. I actually did it off air beforehand, but then we went into it in depth in the video. I had remembered something that occurred before we moved into the house, and then I had heard about something that happened after we moved out of the house. And I actually kind of alluded to this in the Amityville episode a while back, where I had said, you know, living in the house the way it was when we lived there, yeah, I would do that totally. But living in it after the fact, I would not. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I would kind of change that because it was not the event that I got confirmation on was actually a murder that took place related to the house, but not in the house. So that's kind of where just to give you a little bit of the context for not only this clip, but the full video. But that house, we kind of think that there was something kind of like helping us in a way before we moved. So that's kind of where this clip picks up is my mom talking about when everything kind of started happening and when we started seeing what we saw. So and without further ado, this is the Swamp Thing on Vacation story. So
well, and to kind of begin with it, we were actually getting the house ready to sell at the time. I had been to the store and I bought a few things because I wanted to set up the kitchen and make it look really nice and everything for an open house. And yes, that was the dog. And I had a bag that I had brought into the house and I'd set it down in a chair. And I was explaining everything that I got to Bob, my husband. And where everybody was sitting was important because I know, Matt, you were kind of behind me, you know, sitting on a couch or love seat or something. And I was explaining, you know, I had these new placemats and just different things. And at the same time, we all just looked up at the doorway that led into where the bedrooms and the bathroom were. It was like a central hallway location. And we watched this figure walk by. And I stopped. And I remember, Matt, you saying, "Wow, did you see that?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And you said, "It looked like the Swamp Thing on Vacation." And I said, "Yeah, it did." And because it looked like it had on like a very faded Hawaiian print shirt. You know, that's what it looked like to me. And it was actually going from like the bedroom area through the hallway towards the bathroom. And that's important because of what happened later, like several weeks later. But I tried to debunk that. And I remember going into the bedroom and moving the shades on the windows, which were room darkening shades, and trying to figure out, was there a car across the street, you know, with the headlights? But there was no way that there could be headlights shining in that window unless it was in the road. Like,
I think that was my bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, I mean, I was really trying to find ways to debunk that as to, you know, it had to have been like a light coming through, but there was no way because the shades were pulled and they had curtains and it was just dark.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, you know, didn't really worry about it. It didn't really scare us,
Yeah.
but I didn't freak out over it because I didn't know for sure what I saw.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, we were getting ready to do another open house. And this time, Casey, which is 3 years younger than Matt at the time, is
She
sitting
still is,
where she can see.
She still is.
Yeah. Yeah. But you were about 9, so she was around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so she's sitting now where she can see it. And again, I'm, you know, have been shopping, came home, we were talking about selling the house and doing the whole open house thing. And we look up and this thing walks the other direction, like from the bathroom to the bedroom. Matt, in his 9-year-old wisdom, he goes, "Wow, he took a long time to go to the bathroom." And of course, we laughed and thought that was funny. Casey pipes up. She goes, "Oh, that's the man that watches me sleep at night in the bedroom."
Oh,
And I think that one occasion right there was when the one I actually remember, because I was in the living room. I do remember that, like, you were either holding me or I was in a baby chair or something, like right
I
by the recliner, but kind of by the kitchen
yes,
archway door area.
yes,
And I remember just seeing a mass that
right,
was
right.
transparent. I mean, I don't remember like details, but
It
I just
was
remember
like
seeing
you
a
could see
mass
through
across.
it, but not. I mean, it wasn't clear. I mean, you could see it was like opaque, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, you could see it. But I'm telling you, when Casey pipes up and says, you know, this guy is who's watching her sleep at night, you know, the mom in me like freaked out, but very quietly. And I turned and I said, "What do you mean he watches you sleep? Doesn't it scare you?" She goes, "Oh no, he's really nice."
now
Okay.
this is the
is
moment
normal.
where I tell you I don't remember that part of this.
Oh, you don't remember? Oh,
No.
no.
Had I remembered,
Oh.
I would have seen if Casey had time to
And it's
be
still, when I think about that,
down there.
it's very creepy. I mean, I had chills. I still get chills when I think about it. The way she said it was just so matter of fact. She wasn't scared. It was like she thought of him as like her angel or something, like he was there to protect her. It was crazy. It was completely crazy.
Which would make a bunch of sense given the many following events up until we moved.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
what I will say is, we mentioned that it went from one room to the bathroom. The room it came out of was my bedroom, went to the
Yes.
bathroom, and then went back into my bathroom, or back into my bedroom, rather.
Yes.
And what I remember was, oh, it's now just in my bedroom. I don't think I want to be in there for a while.
Right.
Most likely end up sleeping on the couch for a little bit. All right. So
That was great.
So, given that story, you see where some of the parallels
Yeah,
between our
actually,
stories come from a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw me down there making gestures like
I did. It was like, yeah, and again,
So-
you see where the skeptical believer part of both of us comes from. Is, I mean, my mom literally talked about. She's like, "There's no way I saw that, but I saw something," and she went and debunked it. Like, tried to debunk it at least.
Well, when she didn't see it, you all saw it, and
Yeah.
that's what something. Look at what was it? We don't know, but something was there.
Something was there.
You can't, and the fact that she said, you know, it couldn't have been. I looked, it just no car lights could have done it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what kind of I brought up too. It's just not what it was. You know, when you see something, like your brain's like, I want to explain this.
Yeah.
But how do I explain that? What I just saw. Okay, so I have to ask you.
Mhm.
Again, you're a kid. You're 9, whatever, somewhere in that range. Did it look like Swamp Thing wearing a Hawaiian shirt? Is that?
Okay.
I want to.
So, like I said, I think what my 9-year-old brain was trying to rationalize, what I may have figured out as an adult, what I actually saw. I think I might actually kind of say this in the full video. I think my mom kind of just went, "Yeah, that's what you saw," to kind of go with like, "I saw something. We're going to go with your explanation on it." And as a motherly way of protecting their child, because what I've determined that I may have seen is a little bit more horrifying.
Graphic. That's what I was wondering, and it's a great tease because now I want to see the full thing because I want to ask questions, but I also don't want to spoil anything here. I want those to be, and you can kind of tell me if they're on there. Was there any? Did you do any like history of the place before you guys lived in it? Do you know?
Not before.
I'm just curious. What might
and this won't spoil anything. We found out a little bit about the history after we had started the process of moving out. So,
yeah, no,
but we had already started seeing things.
I meant of the history before the history of the house before you guys lived in it. Not did you find out stuff before
just
you
in
moved?
General. No. Yeah, we did look into the history of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm considering pulling up the stuff we found out about the house afterwards actually made the news. So there may actually be like news articles.
Oh, I would pull that shit up all day.
I'm gonna try. I'm
I don't
gonna.
want you to,
I'll see about like
do-
any kind of like redacting that needs to happen with it. But yeah,
I mean, it's on the news.
It was on the news.
I mean, it was out there to the public. You're not getting anything.
True. Yeah. No, I just don't want to like the neighborhood. Like, okay, the neighborhood in general was really good to us. Like while we were there.
Yeah, so was mine.
Yeah, it was
clear, like
it was the late 80s, early 90s in not the greatest neighborhood in Kansas City.
I don't know
way,
everything,
but the families around us were really cool to us. So
I don't know everything that went down yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna learn more. But you can't account. You can't. So let me put it this way: we live where I live currently. There's a neighborhood I grew up in, Fairfield. It's very nice. It's like middle class. You know, I wasn't middle class, but it's middle class. I wasn't. I actually do have one of the stories I'm going to tell with my sister is actually takes place where I live there, but it's a nice neighborhood. But where a good friend of this show lives now. He's lived there for a long time. Nice neighborhood. Someone got shot in the head a couple years back, and you just can't really account for a real nice neighborhood over here.
True.
Westchester, very, very, very nice neighborhood. I lived there too with my kids for a while. That's where my kids grew up. Guy murdered his daughter's boyfriend and it was a couple blocks away from where we had lived. There's no account for bad things, where a bad person's going to be. The neighborhood, like you said, they were probably all great people, and it probably, whatever the story is, probably shocked everyone. So I think it's very
and to be clear, the events that happened after we left involved somebody involved with the house, but it didn't happen to them at the house.
But it still makes you wonder.
Yeah.
And again,
and we actually do go into like
in our
why
future
some
videos,
of the things were happening.
Yours with your family and mine with my family, we're going to talk about the fact that sometimes it might be the person that brings the stuff in, not the house. It's somebody there that you think, or that was there that, so it's honestly, I really enjoyed that.
I'll give you another little tease. I parts in the video that I was not there to experience, like to the level that they were. We kind of get into the causes of poltergeist activity conversation. So we'll leave it at that.
Your brother reminds me a little of my brother, which is interesting. Let's he has a channel, right?
Yeah. So I'll put that up on screen real quick.
Yeah, let's give him some credit. He is a Twitch channel, right?
Yeah, I believe so. It's his handle is going to be right down there. He actually talks about us a lot on his show, and frequent contributor.
Stuff, right? He does gaming stuff. So if you guys are into that, please go check him out.
His name I believe is Odin's Heathen. And
we had
it'll be down there. Yeah.
So I looked up. I was like, does he have a kind of creepy hat? Because it's this purple and
it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
He'll probably get one in the future.
Go check him out because obviously we want to show some support. He does support this show a lot. He's a frequent, like, he comments and stuff like that, which I think we actually have a
comment from him. So,
but I really I think it's awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. That was really cool that you guys sat down and did that. And I'm looking forward to the full thing. Those are probably the most fun stories for me. That's why I pushed you guys out there. Like, I would love to do not all, but a lot of shows where it's like listener or true stories that people have experienced, because those sometimes are even more like I get more invested in those than watching the clips sometimes. And it's, your mom did a really good job of how she was telling you could sense emotion, and that's stuff that's hard to, you just can't fake that.
Shout out to Toastmasters for the record. She's gonna love that. Yeah, no, she was involved in Toastmasters and actually got me involved in it as well. That's cool. Was. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that as a kid you just try to relate it to what you could.
Yeah.
Like, something about it didn't look normal. Best I can come up with is, well, Swamp Thing doesn't look normal. Maybe it's like Swamp Thing. And again, when we get into the story with my sister, this is the one bit I've told Matt several times, and it sounds stupid and it sounds corny, but I'm going to tell people exactly what I thought I saw. And my brain could only describe it the way I describe it, and I can't fully get it across, but I saw something really weird and silly, as silly as Swamp Thing in a Hawaiian shirt, but it's still that I appreciate that, because if that's the best you can describe it, that's the best you can describe it. Of course, my brain now as an adult, like you said, is going, oh my God, was it like Freddy Krueger? Was the face just mutilated? Like, and that's, so, that's where you start kind of going.
So, you're kind of hitting the nose right there.
That was cool, man. I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to the full video, which that's our tease. There's the teaser trailer, but that's the tease because that video is coming up, and you'll get the full story. And I don't even know it. I know bits and
then
pieces.
Some.
That's Matt.
That wasn't even the full story. That was just
we know bits and pieces of these stories from each other, but we've never sat down and laid it all out. So it's very cool.
And to be honest, in the full story, like I said, there was stuff that I was just like, oh yeah, like as we were talking about it, I'm like, I do remember that. And I mean, it kind of runs the gamut of various phenomena, but it's almost like it traveled from house to house. And we kind of give like a full breakdown up to and including the house my parents live in now.
So I've noticed, like, a lot of people will say that, like, followed us. We left, but do you ever notice though, with a lot of those stories where people say that, and I don't know if this is just a thing, but it follows sometimes, but it starts getting less and less as time passes with people, until a lot of times you hear people say, like,
I'm smiling for a reason.
A lot of times you hear people say, and then it just sort of stops, and you wonder, like, is this residual stuff that sticks and it just sort of loses energy over time? It's so weird to think about these things, but kind of fun too. And kind of creepy.
Yes. I will say that in the full video, there is poltergeist activity. There is possibly residual. That the Swamp Thing on vacation could be possibly residual. Definitely intelligent stuff. On that one, like reasoning.
If it's watching your sister sleep,
yeah.
Your mom, when she said that, she's like, and as a mother, I'm like, oh, I get it, man. If one of my kids said that to me, I'd be like, you ain't sleeping in that room. we call the priest.
Yeah, no, I definitely slept on the couch or in their bed for a while after that, because I was like, no, and we were getting ready to leave. Like, we were in the process of moving out of the house.
Yeah.
So there's like boxes packed up and everything, but I'm like, that's my bedroom. Like that, it just walked into my bedroom. So yeah, but there's so much more that has happened involving my family, and I will say that the last story that my family touches on is much more wholesome. It is a heartwarming kind of heartwarming, not worming. There's no heartworms involved.
Heartworms.
Yeah, heartworms. It'll tug at your heartworms a little bit. But yeah, that one's it's like an at peace kind of story. So, but yeah, stay tuned for the full video coming out soon. And you won't have to wait super long. It'll probably be with, the next episode. Yeah. But yeah, that's totally.
And with that kind of being said, I hope you guys have watched the past ones. If he mentioned Amityville, we did a real deep dive into Amityville and our thoughts and what we think happened versus what was said happened and the hoax and all that. If you haven't watched that one, I actually think it's pretty good. You should go back and check that out. And then our recent one we did, we talked about Gettysburg, and that was kind of a historical little jaunt, and it's a lot of fun as well. So you said with that, I think your brother actually left it about Gettysburg. I have not read this yet.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that?
Yeah. So he left a comment on that video, giving a little bit of a different perspective than. Yeah, everybody, go ahead. Just leave us a comment.
It's down there.
And we may talk about it on the show. And this one kind of jumped out because it was a totally different perspective than what we actually talked about in the video. So my brother left this comment on that video, and he says, I just wanted to say, in the clip of the soldiers marching through the field, I don't think they're marching. To me, it either looks like the back end of an advance where stragglers are following a ways behind the front line, bringing up the rear by watching the flanks, or what is more likely is it's the aftermath from a battle where the soldiers are returning to their field hospitals, weary and wounded from the battle that just ended. I think the second assumption is more likely because it seems to me that the apparition at the tree could very well be an instance where a field medic could be tending to a soldier sitting at the tree. If it was soldiers marching into battle, they would be closer together and their walking stance would be very different.
I could see that.
And I even included my response. So.
There are a lot of like parts of that where when you can make out a figure or form, it almost looks like their heads are down. I think we even talked about that. They look weary or you know, they're kind of dragging. So
yeah.
I could totally see that. It's a good observation, and it's probably, you know, none of us are ever going to know, but I'd say that's probably as good a guess as any as what's going on there. I really like that. Also would explain a lot of the energy if it's coming back from instead of going to. If they just experienced a real bloody battle where they saw a lot of death. The Gettysburg one is another one of those that just to me it leaves there's a lot of emotion even talking about. Honestly, you know, I told you when I put together the Amityville one, like it just left me unsettled in weird ways, and Gettysburg left me sad in weird ways. It's kind of bizarre that you feel those emotions when you're doing this stuff. So interesting. And again, guys, we would love to have your comments to read on the show. We would love to talk about your scary experiences here on the show. We would love to do your personal stories. If you have a really good one and you want to kind of write it up and send it over to us, like what the story is about, we may even be willing to sit down and do a video chat with you. And let you tell your own story on the show. Like that would be really cool. That being said, we have some really cool stuff lined up, like possible guests that we're working on getting on the show, things like that. We really want to change a few things up since we're moving into a new year, take a few things a little more serious and just sort of kind of focus a little bit. I think it's kind of what we're saying we want to do. The show started off as, here's a creepy clip. What do you guys think? And we still want to do that, but we want to go, here's something that happened. What do we think? Like more of a, and we're still going to do the clips. We'll still do clip shows, but there are a lot of clip shows out there. So we want to kind of go, here is this experience, this massive experience, looking at the evidence we have. The Sierra Sound video we just did too, like that.
Yeah.
You know, we both kind of left that going like, what is it if not a Bigfoot? Like we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's very weird.
It's very, very strange and kind of creepy.
We show our skepticism.
Yeah.
Because neither of us bought that track didn't look legit to us either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. We have some really cool stuff. And if you guys have suggestions and it's like, hey, why don't you guys talk about this? Let us know. We'll do that. Again, thanks to Matt's family for coming on and doing that. Everybody be paying attention because their full show, their full episode, I think will probably be our next episode.
Should be.
So, and then I got to find a time. My sister's a very busy human being, but we are planning to get together and kind of talk about our experiences, which is unlike Matt's, they take place in the same apartment, condo, as it were, but not together.
Oh.
Her experiences were separate from my experiences, and again, didn't find out till after she'd moved out what she experienced. But I wasn't alone in some of mine. I did have two friends, one that experienced something with me and one that experienced something when we were not in the room, and she told us about it and did not know that the other stuff was going on also. And it's a weird one. And there's some laughable stuff in there because it's almost like it's just silly, but it's what happened. So with that being said, I want to give one real quick, fun little story that maybe I've mentioned on the show before, probably have, but they said that my mom and I used to talk about paranormal stuff all the time. And I guess it would have been I think it was her aunt, my mom's aunt and uncle, so my great aunt and uncle lived in a house right next to, like right by a damn cemetery. I mean, like right by it. Like I know exactly where the house is. I know the cemetery. It's right there. And they used to go out there a lot. And they were out there one night when my mom was real little kid, and she said it was night. They were sitting on the front porch, and she and my grandmother were in a porch swing, and my mom was kind of laying in my grandma's lap, and she's like, I start to doze off, and they're kind of talking about the cemetery and stuff. She's like, and I wake up and I hear mom say, my grandma said, "Don't you tell Joni that, she'll never come here again." And my mom was like, never did find out what they were talking about.
What do I not need to know?
I just love that story so much. I was like, I used to just tell that, like, you can imagine that she woke up and that's all she heard. And she's like, I never did find out what it was.
Heightened awareness of everything around her at all times at that place from then on out.
So good.
Just like,
I'm like, interesting. But yeah, I just thought that'd be a fun little cherry on top of it.
That's good.
So, that being said, guys, the first thing we want to tell you before we go is we have checked, and Bob Gimlin still alive. Still alive. Bob Gimlin is alive.
Yes, he is.
Still alive and kicking. So doing his thing. Go check him out. Yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for coming and joining us once again for the show. We look forward to what comes next on the horizon. It's been a fun and interesting year. We've seen a lot of weird and crazy clips, some just complete bullshit, and some that left us going, huh? So, AI is a scary thing. So that's why we got to keep these stories going, because we don't know what it's.
And just so you guys know, like, I think it's as a good season finale announcement that I don't think Jay even knows I'm going to make this announcement. Kevin was AI the entire time. Like, we just made him up. He wasn't real.
KC Masterpeace was he was AI. We just couldn't get it quite corrected. He's just a busy dude. And actually, one of the things he does, if you're in the area, American Legacy Tours, and it is the season. Actually, by the time this comes out, he's probably close to wrapping them up for the season. But one of the things they do is haunted tours, and they take you around locations in the Cincinnati area that are haunted, and they tell you some stories, and it's a lot of fun. I've done it. And he does one in a little town called Mount Healthy here, where I've done this one with him. He actually, in the middle of the night, they walk you, he has permission, walk you through a couple of cemeteries. And one of them is a very small, very, very old cemetery. And when we were there, he encourages you, like, if you have ghost apps or whatever on your phone. We did. And it's that wireframe one. And there were about 6 of us there. And on this one grave that he's telling us about, we captured video of the wireframe on the grave formed a person, like the outline of a person and we're like, oh my God, check it out. So yeah, if you guys are in the area, American Legacy Tours, look them up. They're really cool. It's a lot of fun. Even if you're just going on a regular tour, check them out. So that being said, guys, thank you once again. We appreciate each and every one of you. Please hit subscribe if you've not done so. And yeah, again, thanks to Matt's family. We look forward to hearing the next episode. And, until we do get to hear the next episode, you guys should all do one thing, and that's keep it creepy.
Keep it creepy.
This is kind of creepy. Goosebumps rising on my spine. This is kind of creepy.